What's going on, guys? My name is Lieben, and today I am here with my 2007 Mini Cooper. Today what I'm going to be doing is actually changing the springs and the struts on both of the front tires, and then for another video I'm going to leave the two back tires because I believe they are a little different. But yeah, today I'm going to focus on just removing and installing both the struts and the shock. I bought the replacements already assembled, so it's basically just taking these out of the car and putting the new ones in. So as you guys can see, I already have the car jacked up and I have a jack stand underneath the car. You guys can't see from this angle, but I'm going to go ahead and take off the tire and we will go from there. Alright, so the head on the studs on this car, at least for mine, is a 17 millimeter. So I'm going to be using a socket, and then good old trusty Harbor Freight, I went ahead and got this Hercules impact wrench, honestly a few months ago, and I haven't needed to use it, so I haven't tried it. So I guess we'll see in this little project, see if it's actually up to the task. So it's a 1/4 inch, and the socket I have is a 1/2 inch, so I just went ahead, put an adapter on it. So we'll go ahead and see if we can take off this tire. Alright guys, so as you guys have just seen, the impact wrench was not able to remove the studs on the tire, but luckily I do have the bigger one of this, like the Ultra Torque Hercules, and I know that one can remove the studs, so I'm gonna have to go grab that one and remove it with those. I just wanted to see if this little guy right here would have been able to do it. Alright, and just like that, the tire can come off. Now with the tire removed, we can obviously see a better picture here of what we're working with. Right here is the shock, the strut, the spring, whatever you want to call it. And you can see there is some fluid that actually has been leaking out of it. So that definitely does tell me that it was time to change at least the shock here. So shout out to FCP Euro. I was honestly gonna start getting ready to remove the brake disc and the caliper, and I was getting ready to remove all that, but then I started thinking to myself if that was honestly necessary. I went on their YouTube channel and actually saw one of their how-to videos, and thankfully I did that before disassembling everything, because it is not necessary to remove all of this right here. So there's actually just a few bolts and some lines here, like these ones here, that we're gonna have to move out of the way to be able to get the strut out. So it wasn't as complicated as I thought it was gonna be, so it's a good thing that I decided to check that video before getting started. So first, what I'm gonna start off by doing is actually not removing, but setting aside some of these lines, like the brake line here, and I believe this looks like to be the ABS wheel sensor. So we'll move that off to the side, and then we'll go ahead and remove that bolt, which you can't see because it's dark, but there's what's actually this end link. Remove this one right here, and then there is a bolt right there that's actually where the strut sits on. So we're gonna go ahead, take that off, open the entrance up back here, and then that should give enough room for the strut to be able to drop down. So we want to go ahead and disconnect anything that's attached to the strut here. So go ahead and pull this guy out. There's that guy. And then here is the ABS sensor. It has these. I don't know if it's supposed to actually go connected on here. I mean, don't really see where else it could go other than like on the shield itself. But where it is connected to the strut itself, actually it might not even be this one. Oh, so this line here is actually for something completely different. It goes right here. It might actually be another wheel sensor, I'm not exactly sure, but the one that we need to remove actually is this guy that goes down here, but is connected right there. So I'll go ahead and pull this guy out. And there we go. That guy needed a bit more persuasion, but we got it out. So now set these guys off to the side here. And now I gotta see what size that nut there is. Alright, so that bolt there is actually a 16 millimeter. So I'm gonna use the impact wrench to see if I can go ahead and take that nut without having to put an Allen wrench right here in the middle to hold the thread of the end link in place, because if it starts turning, then it's just gonna make it a little bit more complicated. So hopefully, if I'm lucky, the nut will just come right off with the impact wrench. Okay, so it looks like I was not so lucky, and it is everything, the nut and the threads are both turning, which is gonna make this a little bit more difficult. There's not really that much space there, but I'm gonna see if I can grab a wrench and an Allen and then try to turn it a little bit and break it free. So I hope I was able to show you guys some of that. I know it was a pretty bad angle, but I couldn't really get a better one. I lucked out when I remember that I actually had one of these sockets and ratchet set that actually let you put things through it. So I went ahead and grabbed the Allen wrench, which is a 5 millimeter, I believe. Let me see if I can find the number on this. So if you guys, if it focuses, this one here is a 5 millimeter Allen. So this, along with this pass-through ratchet set, honestly made the job so much more easier. Here is the nut that I had to go ahead and remove, and let me show you guys here the thread where the Allen wrench went through. So I'm not sure, I didn't try with just a wrench, but I would assume that with the amount of space you have in there, it would take quite a while to use a manual wrench and, you know, try to place it in between here and try to slowly holding onto the Allen wrench and the wrench, breaking it loose. I'm sure there's a way that it would be possible, but luckily, if you have that those types of ratchets, I highly recommend using them. It made it a lot easier, and even with that I was struggling a little bit. But now that that is off, it should just slide right out, and it does. So now we can just set this off to the side. Hopefully it doesn't get in the way. And now we can focus on removing that bolt right there. And I think, yeah, it's a nut on that end, so I'm gonna have to actually check both sides, see what size that nut is, and then what size the head of the bolt is as well. So both the head of the bolt and the nut are 18 millimeters. I do not have a impact socket for the impact wrench, so I'm just gonna have to use a normal ratchet, and then I have a wrench on this other side, so I can go ahead and unloosen it. So that is really stuck on there. I'm gonna need a cheater bar to give me some more leverage. There we go. Now it's starting to move. I actually forgot one thing I should have done before starting to loosen it was spray some penetrating oil on the other side. Hopefully that makes it easier to come off. Alright, and here we have it. And as you guys can see, this bolt has definitely seen some better days. It is completely covered in just dirt and grime that you can barely even see the threads here, which I'm assuming are the ones that were exposed. These ones that were a little bit more hidden with the bolt, you can tell a little bit more. Before I put this on, I am going to go ahead and clean it, you know, in case I ever have to do this or someone else has to do this job again. It doesn't take as long, or might end up gunking up or snapping the bolt because of how dirty it is. Okay, so now pretty much all that's left to do down here is on the back side. You see this is where the bolt was just that we took off. You can see it's a little separated right there. So basically what I need to do is open up, separate that more, so then the strut right here can go ahead and actually, well, what's gonna move is gonna be the whole wheel hub assembly will be able to come down a little bit. That way we can go ahead and slide the strut out of the way. So because I don't have one of those flat heads that I don't really know what they're used for, but one of those flat heads that kind of have the end kind of bent off to an angle, I would use that kind of as a pry bar. Don't have one anymore and I haven't gone and buy one, but what I do have is this thing right here, which I'll be honest, I don't even remember what it's called. I don't even remember what I bought it for, but I bought it also Harbor Freight, bought it in a pack of 3, and I think this actually is gonna do the job. So I tried to use it a little bit already to see if it would work, and it seems like it might be able to spread the entrance here right there. You can barely see it, so what I am doing is kind of just getting this back into the opening and just prying it back. And if you guys pay attention to the strut, it is kind of moving a little bit down. So I'm just basically shimmying it down a little bit and slowly spreading it apart until hopefully eventually it will be loose enough where I can just put pressure down on the wheel hub assembly and it should all come down. So after a lot of prying and a lot of shimmying and kind of turning the whole knuckle assembly back and forth, you guys can see that's where it started off. That's where it's at right now. So it is slowly coming down. I kind of feel like it's the last little bit of push that I need so that it can pop off. Alright, so I forgot to hit record, but with a little bit more persuasion, I went ahead and stepped right here on the brake disc, on this little lip right here, and I stepped down or pushed down, and that was a little bit of force more that I needed for this, for the rest of the knuckle to fall down and have the strut now just hanging in the air. Now the only thing that's holding it up are the 3 nuts up here on top. Go ahead and show you guys. This one right here, that one, and that one should be the last 3 remaining holding on the strut onto the car. So I'll go ahead and loosen those, and now that it's not connected down here, oh yeah, you guys can see it's pretty loose. Yeah, once those come down, I should just be able to just slide it right out. Okay, so I just checked, and all of these are actually 13mm bolts. So I got my socket and bolt here, and let's just go ahead and loosen them up. Well, luckily these guys weren't on here super tight. At least that one wasn't. Let's check this one. Nope, not bad either. And then for this guy here, let me go ahead and move the weather stripping off to the side. And check this. Nope, not bad either. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and remove this one and then this guy all the way out, and because this one's the most accessible one, I'm going to go ahead and leave it so then I can go ahead and crouch down and make sure I'm holding on to the strut before completely loosening it and just having it fall down. Okay, I'm holding on to the strut here. Let's see if I can grab you guys and bring you down here. drop him down first a little bit. Let's see here, it got stuck. So I dropped him down enough so that there would be enough room to move him towards myself. Right now it's kind of balancing on the lower control arm. So now that it's out from under there, I can go ahead and just bring him, pull the top towards me, and this guy should come out pretty smooth. And here we have it, guys. Boy, is that guy really dirty. So now I'm going to go ahead and set it off to the side, and I'm going to go ahead and inspect it, compare it to the new ones, make sure they're the correct ones before installing it. So here we have both of the springs side by side. I've already inspected them a little bit. They do look to be the correct ones, but when I came down here to the original one and noticed this, I was looking at the day where it was made, and I am pretty sure these are still the original ones that came with the car from factory, which is, to me, kind of insane that they haven't been changed since then. So I was looking at the date right here. It says the 29th of November of 2006, and I'll be honest, I don't know if Delphi makes OEM springs or shocks for Mini, but it also has, it says right there, Mini Cooper S, and right here I believe it said, yeah, Mini. So I believe these are the original ones, but even if not, they are still from 2006, which means these are pretty old spring and shock set. So if we come over here to the new ones, these ones say that they are relatively new. I think that says January 10th of 2025. So I believe these are new. I can't remember off the top of my head if they're remanufactured or just new. But regardless, I'm willing to bet that these are going to provide a better driving experience than these ones that are almost 10 years old. No, wait, almost 20 years old. Wow. Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and put these on. I went ahead and inspected all of the connection points where something's gonna go on it. They all seem to be the same. I checked where it gets connected up top here. It looks pretty much the same as this guy over here. I will have to go ahead and remove that tape, that warning label, before I install them. But yeah, let's go ahead and just put these back on. It's basically going to be the same process as taking them off, just going to be in reverse. As you guys might have been able to see right there, I basically just went ahead and put it back on the same way I took it off. This end I put in first, then I tipped the top side kind of over this way, so then I could go ahead and slide it up. And if we check up here, I now have it slightly bolted on. I haven't tightened them yet, and I don't think I will until I go ahead and have it seated on the knuckle assembly. That way I can just have a little bit more ability to adjust it as I need to. So now if we go back down here, next step is to go ahead and push this wheel knuckle assembly and everything down, so then I can go ahead and have it seated in here. Oh, and another thing that I forgot to mention was, after I did take this off, I went ahead and actually sat down the brake disc on some pieces of wood. That was just so it wouldn't be leaning too far down and causing some strain on whatever it is that's holding it up. So for example, these what is it, the end link on the racking pinion. It might have been causing some stress on the bushing. It could have caused some stress on the axle, which that definitely would have been bad. So yeah, I just went ahead and had it seated on here just to kind of try to avoid any of those issues. But now that I'll need to bring it down, I'll go ahead and remove them. Okay, so I had to go ahead and cut the video there because that took a lot longer than I thought it was gonna take. But here you guys can see that the strut is now in line to go in. So now basically what I have to do is find a way to lift up the knuckle so that it can fully be seated, and then I can bolt down that big bolt that goes to the back. So what I was thinking is I'm gonna go ahead and use one of those car jacks, and then put like a 2x4 and see if I can use that to push it up from the bottom. Okay, so that did not seem to work. So I guess my only other option that I can think of right now is go ahead and continue opening up the entrance, I guess the top side of the knuckle, so that then the strut can go ahead and slide in more easier. Alright, so after opening up the knuckle right there a little bit more, I went ahead and went back to using the jack here and kind of started lifting it off. What I noticed is as it was going up, because I'm not lifting up right underneath the strut, it would want to tilt over. So then what I would just do was I would have to kind of grab the brake rotor from up here, and then I'd kind of have to like wiggle it, so then this would slowly start falling into place. Once it did that, then I'd go back and lift up the jack a little bit more, and that's how I got it up to where it's at right now. And the thing that I didn't really notice, or yeah, I really hadn't noticed until now, was that if we look at this old one here, this right here is, oh no, actually down here, this right here is where that bolt, that 18mm bolt that we took off, actually goes through this right here and holds on to the strut itself. I did not know that. So as I was going ahead and putting the strut in here, I realized that the hole on the strut itself wasn't aligning on to the hole here, so then I wasn't going to be able to feed the bolt through. But then I went ahead and readjusted it, and now I believe it will go through. Need to grab that guy, and again the bolt comes in through this side, so if I can find where it goes, right there. It should, with a little wiggling, go all the way through, and I believe it did. Over here to this side, and there we have it. There's that. So now there's no worry about, let's say that if I undo the jack, let it go down, it should not fall off all the way out. But I still want to go ahead and put the nut on here just in case. I did clean the threads off camera. So now, see if we can do this with one hand. There you go, it's slightly on there. So I'll go ahead and set you guys down, and then grab the ratchet and the wrench and tighten that guy down. Alright, so I've gone ahead and tightened it down. Now I do know there's a specific torque spec that they're supposed to be tightened down to. I didn't look it up, so yeah, I know this isn't the correct way of doing it. The actual way of doing it is you want to torque it down to spec. If you guys are doing this job and want to do it correctly, recommend you guys go ahead and look those specs up. I have not, but I just went ahead and did it to where I'm comfortable enough that it will not come loose. But now that that is tight on there, I can go ahead and lower the jack. And I actually went ahead and decided to go ahead and tighten these 3 bolts up here before lowering the jack, so I'll do that. And one thing that I didn't mention too about these struts, which I like actually, is that they have a little like a little knob or sticking out basically, that it kind of lets you know. I went ahead and paid attention to the one that it took off, and it was in the direction of this bolt or this nut right here. So I just went ahead and made sure that I put it in that same orientation when I put it back on. And now that the jack is off, I'm gonna go ahead and put the end link back on. Okay, and now that the end link is tightened, I'll go ahead and connect the lines back onto the connecting points here on the strut. So here I went ahead and put the ABS sensor, and over here is the brake line. What I did notice is on this one, it seems like this bracket here sits a lot closer to the knuckle, which I don't think there will be any issue, since the strut, when you turn your tires left or right, the strut is turning with it. So I can't imagine that there'll be a moment where the knuckle moves and the strut doesn't. That would be the only time where that could potentially get damaged, but like I said, I don't really foresee that happening. And then as for this last sensor here that I didn't find where it connects to, I'll honestly probably just see if I can zip tie it to maybe this line right here. I mean, it's not really in the way of anything, but then again, I don't want the chances of it maybe falling down like this and getting damaged. So yeah, I'll probably just get a zip tie and probably like just zip tie it right here and then put the tire on, and that'll basically be it. And there we have it, everyone. I went ahead and put the tire back on. I did end up just putting a zip tie very loosely so it wouldn't be causing any unwanted tension. I just wanted it out of the way on that line. So I put the zip tie on, went ahead and tightened the bolts here for the tire, and I went ahead and set it down to the ground. And as of right now, I mean, they're just regular stock suspension, so it looks like normal ride height to me. But now that I have this side on, I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the other side. I can't imagine there being anything different on that side than on this side. So I'm gonna go ahead and leave this video how it is. If there is anything else that's different, well then this might not be the ending. But if you're watching this, and that means there wasn't anything different, anything else I had to explain, and I'm gonna go ahead and leave it like this. Thanks everyone for watching. If you guys liked it, enjoyed it, or found it informative, please go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.
Repeat after me.